Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact, where business insight meets startup innovation. And now, your hosts, Brian Sparks and Lisa Helfrich.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. It's good to be back. Lisa, it's good to have you back. Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact on Pirate Cat Radio's KPCR LP 92.9 FM in Los Gatos and beyond. What you're about to hear is edited for radio. I'm your host, Brian Sparks, and on your screen, coming through your mic, is Lisa Helfrich. Lisa, good to see you. How you doing? Good to have you back.
Likewise. Yeah, we're into spring. I know you've been super busy. Tell me, what have you been up to?
Oh, lots of good stuff. We've been working with Plug and Play. They have their summit coming up. I think a lot of our startups are going to be involved with that, but we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Just real quick, the purpose of this show is to have honest conversations about what it takes to build great businesses and communities so that you can make an impact in your own. Brian, I don't want to hear about getting off script. I just like that. I mean, it gives me a
I have
rhythm.
so many notes for you right now. I can hardly stand it. I've also obviously traumatized you about getting on that mic because now you're about like 3 millimeters away from that microphone.
I'm fully puckered and leaned in. Yes. So, Lisa, we have a electric show today. We have 3 great women in business with us today. We have AJ Thomas, we have Erika Barr, and Ling Law from a local small business. Wish you were here. How are you doing? What's new? What's going on with the founders group that you've been working with up in Canada?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the M51 Movement 51 Women's Founders Lab. They've got their demo day, their big pitch event coming up here at the end of June. So just prepping all of the teams, getting them kind of well-rounded to start pitching their businesses and their startups. So it's a great cohort this year. Also wanted to take a moment though here to celebrate our 10th show today.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah.
You set them
amazing.
off. You set them off.
Yeah, and I'm super excited about all of the female founders and female business leaders that we've had on the show as well. It's pretty incredible, this community that we've built.
And we have 3 more. So let's bring in these rock stars. I'd like to introduce first AJ Thomas. AJ, say hi.
Hi.
Okay, let's right from the start. Can we get the AJ Thomas hi and then the alter ego voice?
Yes, absolutely. You're a 4th guest, right?
False. Yeah. That's never going to get old. I love it.
Amazing.
I love it.
So great to meet everybody.
So before we introduce our other 2, well, we have Ling in the background. Ling, say hi.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
She'll be on mic in a minute. We'll meet her. Erika Barr is here as well.
Hey.
Good to see you, Erika. Good to have you back.
Thank you.
And before we jump too far into it, AJ, give a little quick introduction about what you've been up to and how we met.
Yeah. Hopefully I can keep it deep and brief here. So what have I been up to? Well, I'm always tinkering with a ton of things, but lately been getting myself in a lot of good trouble.
So I've heard.
So I've heard as well. Currently founding a venture firm as an emerging fund manager, and also doing some fractional executive work with a really amazing company called A-Team.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. And so we're going to talk a little bit too about your journey through startup because you've landed in a great company now. Where did you get your start? What got you?
Hey, Brian, can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah.
Does everybody in the room know what fractional executive work is except me?
Oh, good question. Okay, that's a great question. Can you tell our audience and Brian and myself a little bit about what fractional work is and why it's becoming a big thing? Because it's been talked a lot about lately.
It has been talked about a lot lately. So you think about full-time executives or full-time workers, builders, etc. You also have the ability to have access to fractional folks that may not be working in a full-time capacity, but can contribute their impact in small slices in ways that startups and founders can have access to. So, for example, if you're a startup and you may not have the budget to hire an entire executive team, you can actually, for the price of one executive, hire an entire fractional executive team to help kind of augment
I
your
get
leadership.
the feeling that fractional people are very entrepreneurial minded
Absolutely.
because you could take on multiple roles at one time and you are doing multiple things. I mean, you're starting a fund,
Yes.
you do your coaching, you do a
Yes.
ton of hosting and presenting and public speaking, you do advising, you do
Right.
the fractional thing. Let's back up for our audience. Because your career, I mean, the intro, you humbly introduced yourself. Your intro goes back a little bit further. What got you into startup? Where did you find that this spirit come from?
Yeah, very interesting piece. I mean, I think for me, all of the things that you just said, if we were to put it in a container, a lot of it is really about teams and trust. And so how do you create ways in which you can connect all that in one space? I think I started actually pretty young. So I was born in Kuwait. So I was born in the Middle East. And then I was raised in the Philippines by amazing grandparents. Shout out to the Filipinos. Mabuhay, everyone. And then I actually immigrated it to the United States very early on when I was about 8 years old, and lived in Los Angeles with my family, and had a really wonderful kind of upbringing, and then realized very late in the game, as I was kind of doing all of the things you needed to do as you were growing up, you know, applying for school, doing all the things, getting in the clubs, all of that, etc. Actually realized I was undocumented in high school. And it created this really interesting vibe because I think my parents at the time, I just thought they were being Asian parents. They were like, focus on school and don't do anything else. But you can get involved in anything as long as it's with school. So I ended up joining the Latino Student Union. I ended up joining the swing club, the snowboarding team, the marching band, and the cheerleading team at the same time, just because it was something to do outside of school. And it allowed for me to actually get a lot of the resourcing and community. I think when I was 16, taking it way back, sorry, I know we were going to say deep and brief here, but I think the roots of my entrepreneurial kind of founder volume is, you know, at 16, I realized I was at my own birthday party. I had invited a bunch of my friends, and realized that the thing that we had in common when we all gathered at my house was that that they all knew me, but everybody was from a very different group. So I had somebody from the football team, I had somebody from cheer, I had someone from marching band, I had someone from AP chemistry, I had my English friends, and I also just had folks that we would just hang out in high school. And so I've kind of taken a lot of that, all of those different pieces, and it's happening in my day-to-day that I'm doing now. So I'm involved in a lot of very different communities, the coaching community, the speaking community, the people and talent community, which I've grown up in quite a bit, and also now in the venture community, working with a lot of founders. I started out actually doing a lot of advising for founders. I have been a founder myself, but a nonprofit founder. So just a lot of very interesting things. And what I've come to realize is, actually looking back, it's all been in the vein of creating amazing teams that can do great things together, and then finding ways in which you can kind of build trust together. So anyway.
I love that. And what you've poured, not only in building great teams and surrounding yourself with great people, being electric and outgoing and being curious about other people, brought that into your adult life, brought that into your profession. You've kind of built your brand around that. And that comes from the inside out. And so when it comes to working with these companies, these startups, and you've worked with many other startups in your previous, can we talk about that?
We could talk about that.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you have
that's great.
tap into that, because that kind of launched you into, shot you into, right?
Totally shot me.
into this world. Talk
Yeah.
a little bit about your experience there and the importance of startups developing their brand.
Yeah.
Right. And building communities for sustainability.
Absolutely. So I think what Brian was talking about here. So I recently got off a really amazing ride, 4.5 years at the the Moonshot Factory, which is Google X, which is the innovation and R&D arm of Alphabet and Google. and had really a front row seat to seeing moonshot companies and radical technologies being built from the very, very nucleus, which has been really amazing. And such an opportunity to see some of the most talented people in the world. And I served as really the head of talent there, bringing in a lot of the people that created these moonshot teams. The products are themselves their own things, but really at the nucleus of everything was the way that we had the opportunity to create teams. And I think for us, what was really great was there was always this mindset of being dispassionately passionate about, seeing an idea, but then also being able to say, oh, what's the other side of it? Maybe we're wrong about this. How do we explore? How do we get curious, et cetera? And I think for me, what I was able to kind of live through in that was just this like continuous roll into how do I learn? Right. And so a lot of what I do now and a lot of what I do with connecting communities, et cetera, is really about, well, what are we learning versus just what are we doing? Because I think it's a lot of how, not just what you do. When you're in an organization, it's a lot about, okay, why are people doing all of these things? And then what I'm actually realizing in the work of building trust within teams is, you get the why and the how and the what, which Simon Sinek so amazingly covered for us.
So let's park there for a second, right? Because I know you could go
all the different directions.
Yeah, I love that. Why is why important?
Yeah.
Because what I was thinking about, if you're in a great ecosystem where there's a ton of smart people, and Silicon Valley has no shortage of intelligence, the best product doesn't always win.
No.
I see that a lot of those intelligent individuals have to come out of their silo and do a lot of what you're talking about, build a team, build a brand. Erika, you're in the process of doing that.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the importance of coming out of that silo of intelligence and establishing whys. With your customer, with your team, with yourself.
Absolutely. I think the point I was trying to make with the why and the how and the what was like, we're all trained around that. But I think in the world where you have to create breakthrough, right? What we believed was that technological breakthrough was not possible without personal breakthrough. And so I think what's missing in the why, how, and what.
Wait, mind blown. That's so good. Okay, keep going. I just wanted to let that in. That was good. All right, T-shirt time.
But it's like again, the why, how, and what we often forget is there's a who in there, right? And so when you think about brand, right, Lisa, like we were saying earlier, it does come from within, but you have to really know who you are and be grounded in who you are and be in constant search of who you are so you can be strong on your why. Otherwise, everything is just about what you're going to deliver, but it might not be the right thing. Right?
Okay, go a little bit further with that because I love this space. Lisa and I met through coaching. This is Lisa's space as well, building up founder fit. Again, you can identify the ideal customer profile. You could have a go-to-market strategy, but if you don't have founder fit, there's going to be something off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of my favorite questions to ask people, especially founders and especially those that I'm advising in organizations, is not only why, but who are you that you're leaning into this work right now? Right. And who are you as you're evolving into what this looks like? One of the things that I love, and I talk a lot about this is like the 4 immutable laws of the spirit. I think we've talked about this before, Brian, right? Being able to have grounding and presence and noticing that somebody can have that as well when they're a founder is so important. So, those four immutable laws of the spirit are like, whenever it begins is the right time. Right. So you always want a founder that's like, okay, not always like, oh my gosh, there's so many things going on. I'm late for this, I'm early for that, or whatever it may be. It's actually, you know what? Let me ground real quick. Whenever it begins is the right time. This might be
begin messy.
Let's get messy. Let's be present. The other piece is, whoever are in front of you are the right people. Whether it's a hard conversation you need to have, a sales conversation you need to have, a go-to-market thing that you need to send out, but you might be nervous around what's happening there. Whoever are in front of you are the right people. So how would you?
So I got 5 amazing people in front of me right now.
They're the right people.
They're the right people.
The other one is like, whatever happened is the only thing that could have happened. I love that because it's like, don't regret it. Like it happened, and it's not so much about what happened, what do you do after? And I always look for founders that are like, okay, I'm learning from that, and now what am I going to do after, right? And then the other piece is, when it's over, it's over. Know to honor it. That it had its special place in time for those things. So even startups that have failed, I have coached a lot of founders where some of their initiatives have failed. I have coached some that have been super, super successful and not known what to do afterwards because they knew what they needed to do, get their company off the ground and be successful, but they didn't know who they were. So after it was a success, it was like, what do I do now? Right? So I think it's so important in a world of why, how, and what that we also know who we are.
Oh, I like that. And so I hear two things at the top of the four and the bottom of the four, and that's the ability to let go. The first one you were saying, now is the right time. Like just go now, let go and go now. And at the end is knowing to celebrate that transition. Honor it. And there's a vulnerability in letting go. And I think first-time founders, I mean, Erika, you probably see this all the time. First-time founders think they have to be perfect, and they don't let go. They're not messy. They're not vulnerable. They don't build the right team, or they try to hold on to the technology so tight that they fail to bring in the pieces that are necessary. How do you talk about coaching that? How do you get people out of their silos in order to kind of see these blind spots so that they can grow?
I think you have to get them really comfortable with what's on the other side of their fear, whatever the failure may be. I think most folks know FAIL stands for first attempt in learning. If you have a second attempt, it's probably a mistake if you're not learning. But I think it's always, again, that presence piece, right? It's like, okay, if it's good, okay, awesome. I'm still going to be the same person. If it doesn't turn out well, okay, great. I'm still going to be the same person and I'm learning. And so again, it's like, how do you become grounded in that? How do you, a lot of people talk about showing up to stuff, right? How am I going to show up for this moment? How am I going to show up for this thing that's happening right now? But actually, it's all about points of arrival. So when you're arriving somewhere, from a coaching perspective, it's like I like to ask, my coachees, envision what it looks like when you're walking in the door, mentally, physically. How are you feeling? What does that actually look like? And sometimes that takes 30 seconds to do before you just go in there and you're like,
So grounding, becoming more aware. I want to do a quick little crossover and keep down this path. Last week we had Edward Sullivan on. He wrote the book Leading with Heart with John Baird, and their first principle, one of their first identifiers for leading with heart is the ability to speak to fears.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's this insight where if you're a leader and you're taking on this challenge as a startup founder, then you need to identify your fears and have people around you that can help support that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
There's like a really cool exercise that you could actually do. I would call it a soul portrait, where you can ask yourself 3 questions, or ask whoever 3 questions. She's like, who are you and what do you want me to know about you? You can ask yourself that. And then it's like, okay, so who are you and what don't you want me to know about you? Which gets a little bit harder and deeper. And then like the deeper...
I'm already sweating right now.
The deeper layer of that then is, who are you and why didn't you want me to know that about you? And like the more you can get honest and vulnerable and grounded in the 3 questions, it actually helps you see the other side of fear to be able to say, okay, I'm going to start doing that, or I'm going to do this other thing. Anyway, it's really radical too to see like people personally break through.
Yeah, and you continue to push that envelope with yourself to grow, to be on the other side of what's possible. So you talked a little bit about your experience growing up, where that spirit came from, brought that with you, experience and with the Moonshot Factory, and now you're transitioning into the fractional. You're building out. You're going to be a GP. And you know what's interesting about this, and this is why I want to talk about this really quick. I asked, I think it was Sherry DeVille. She was on our show a few weeks ago. One of the amazing women who are in here, and we were asking, what does it take to position women for success in startup and to drive equality? And actually, the answer was it wasn't more women in startup, which is good. The surprising answer was more women as GPs. Who are controlling. I mean, Erika, you resonate with that.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, if you think about it, like when women are investing in other women, because the challenge is a lot of women in startups, they go to a VC and the VC is like, well, you don't look like me. I may invest in someone who's more like someone I jive with, you know? But if you have more women who are like, oh, I was like you once, or I would invest in a woman, then there's going to be more investment into women.
Absolutely.
And also women products, because women understand the pain points of women products better too.
I love that. So you're positioning yourself now as a GP.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
I'm learning a lot. Here's the one thing I've learned too. It's like, you know, we're doing this kind of conversations with a lot of folks. You know, how do you get one started? What does that look like when you start a fund? And it's an incredibly black box. You know, there's tips out there from Carta. There's tips out there from these folks that have done it before. And what we're realizing as a team, because there's 4 of us as a partner group with the team, it's called Good Trouble Ventures, is that no one's done it in like its own formula, and no one actually knows what they're doing either. It's just so funny because we're sitting there, you know, we're like, okay, so who are we going to learn from? What does that look like, et cetera? And really, your differentiator, when they talk about you creating a fund, how you're going to invest, your differentiator is always, okay, what's your differentiator? What does that look like? Actually, you learn what that is as you're building it. Right, you learn what that is as you're thinking about what is your capital allocation strategy going to be. Does your thesis actually meet the market and what it's looking for? What's the floor for the investments you're going to make? You're going to take internally from your LPs. Are you going to do institutional or state, et cetera? And it's so crazy because there's no one playbook to do it. And actually, that's so refreshing. Because it for me, I think as a woman of color and as a founder in this space, it's refreshing because it means you can literally write your own path to figure out how to make that kind of good trouble. And again, for us, it's been a really amazing journey because there's so many playbooks that are out there, but the only way that you can actually differentiate is how you put your own flavor into it and the community that you put together, the ecosystem that you engage with. Right. I mean, like, I think it was so kismet that how you and I met at Transform. Actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but Brian was my speaking coach for Transform, that conference that I had hosted. Shout out to Samara Jaffe, by the way. And then we met up for lunch and it was just so weird because I was like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about right now. And I think it was late March. We're in June now. We're likely going to see more traction, start launching everything in the summer. So it can literally be as quick as you put your impact into it. And I'm just blown away at the partner team that I'm working with because that also is a big thing, right? I don't believe people do things on their own. No man or woman are ever self-made. You are the product of the people that pour into you. And so I think that's another thing for founders to be thinking about when you're building your organization is like, how are you pouring into each other and who is it that is pouring into you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious about, AJ, is what motivated you and your partners to start this fund?
Yeah, it was really interesting. So shout out to Queen Cora Coleman, who's in China right now doing some fun stuff. So she's got an amazing background. We hooked onto this statement of entertainment meets enterprise. And what we saw was there was a lot of creatives or artistpreneurs, and there wasn't a lot of crossover of how do you actually create a wonderful economy of investment and finding a portfolio in which you can kind of create all these pieces together. We ran that experiment at Transform. She was the DJ. We wrote like an authentic song that was specifically for the conference.
Change me.
There you go. You still know it. And then we said, you know what? It would be really cool to honor, you know, the memory of, you know, Senator John Lewis, who talked about making good and necessary trouble in politics and racism and all of that good stuff. And how do we bring that into this crossover? And I think, Lisa, to your question of what motivated us as partners is, you know, there's 2 other partners that I'm working with right now. One who's like an amazing organizational, operational builder, who also happens to be a DJ and like help scale Airbnb as well, working in their people and talent operations team. We have another founder who like helped scale other enterprise companies and spent 10 years building the Burning Man organization. So Kat and Q. And the thing that brought us together is like, she is also a musician. So we're all in this kind of creative space together, but we all have very different strengths, right? Very, very different strengths. I'm like learning, they're like, do not schedule meetings, AJ. You literally like put the right people on the wrong day.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's Controlled chaos.
But hey, look, all day get in front of people and sell the vision because you're really, really awesome at that. So it's just a really interesting mix because like as I think about it too, like the motivations of us having something in common together, each of us knowing who we are and what we bring to the table, is really amazing. But then at the end of the day, if we wanted to go to an open mic and jam together, we could form a little band together and create a song.
So really quick, I want to do something for our audience that I think is really valuable as you start to profile people who are going to succeed. What you kind of heard, I'm looking right at you, Erika, and I'm saying this. What you just heard AJ do is walk through her life, talk about what is valuable to her. You've heard her clearly a smart individual, identify opportunities, but you've heard someone talk about the importance of diversifying their community, being curious about that community, thinking deeply about that community from multiple perspectives, the who, the what, the why, the how, and then still trying to find ways to collaborate, to play together. And it's that play together from these multiple qualities that I think really answer the question that you blew by a minute ago. Like we were talking a few months ago, and this has accelerated quickly. So those who are founders, those who are setting out to do big things and you want to see things accelerate, these are the qualities that must emerge in those you team with in order to get things together. Again, the intellectual capacity to start a business or do something that we all talk about here, it only needs to go so high. And I think those who walk through the door in color, and we have 3 ladies here today who live in color, right? They're just not the black and white, ones and zeros and need to do this. They think differently. This is how you accelerate community. These are how you accelerate teams, your ventures, your ideas, your dreams. So I think you really laid that out beautifully. And Erika, I want to get you in on this because again, I'm looking right at you as I'm describing AJ, and Ling will be in a minute. We're going to talk to her. You'll see Brian had to get on me again earlier about starting the interview before the interview started. But Erika, for those who are meeting you for the first time, give a quick intro, and then let's get into this energy because, again, we can accelerate some great thoughts through this.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Brian. So I'm Erika Barr. I'm the founder and CEO of DAX. It is being able to bring secure AI to enterprise, right? And empowering employees, individuals to really harness the power of AI without it having the challenges that we've heard of that are coming up in the news of leveraging AI. And then we're doing that with a special technology that's been developed in government labs. And it's very, very exciting. So that's part of it. And then the other part is I'm very passionate about empowering female entrepreneurs. I grew up in an environment where it was very conservative. A lot of women kind of felt unempowered. Not all of them, but there were a lot of women that I saw that felt unempowered. And truly, like, I didn't know a lot of like women that I could go to where I was like, oh, this is going to be like my role model of what I want to become. And so what I had to do was kind of learn that on my own. I had to learn how to network on my own. I had to learn how to break out of a system and learn how to meet new people. And then I met incredible women. When I was doing the Harvard Business Analytics program, I met the founder of Nextdoor. And again, from my background, like being an entrepreneur was not a cool thing. It was like, oh, you couldn't get a job. But then when I met like incredible entrepreneurs, I saw them changing the world. Right? Like that's what I saw. And they would exit a company and then they would take that money and they would do incredible nonprofits that were just so powerful. And I remember also when I was in business school, this is like top 10 business school students. And they mentioned, oh yeah, and by the way, women only received 2% of all VC funding last year. And then they just glazed over it and kept going. And I was like, wait a minute. Am I the only one that's like, that is not cool? Like that's really messed up in our society if that's what's happening right now. And so it was kind of from that moment on that I was like, I want to help female entrepreneurs. And I don't know how that's going to be. I don't know what's going to happen, but I want to help them. And so when I gave a graduation speech for the Harvard Business Analytics program, people came up to me afterwards and they're like, how can we support this cause? And I didn't have a platform at the time. Like I didn't have a way for them to do that. And so a year later, I came up with one, and I was like, okay, now this time I'm going to have a platform. If people want to help, people want to support it, they can. And it's been really powerful to connect with other women in the Bay Area who also want to support women, because I found some incredible leaders here. And then also with my company, a lot of what we do is empowering individuals, right? That AI can 10x your output. It can 10x companies' output, but it needs to be done in the secure, right way, or else it can cause a lot of problems.
I like it. So there's two things that I have questions about. One, how you got into DAX, that journey, because you went through a unique program that positions you for this. And then you and we were talking a little bit before the show about the follies, right, of AI, which I think is a very unique perspective. So talk a little bit how you got into DAX and why this grabbed you.
Yeah.
And then let's get into the follies of that. If you could find the segue, and if you can't find it, who cares? We'll just pivot.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So I spent the past 10 years of like my corporate work experience managing data pipelines, building clean rooms, building machine learning models for Fortune 500 companies. And so I'm very familiar with the problems at a corporate level, or the challenges of massive data at scale. And so when I was in a graduate program that was in the DC area, UVA's Darden School of Business, I had a lot of fellow students that like worked at the Pentagon, or they worked in government of some sort, right? And they're like, oh, Erika, you're into entrepreneurship or entrepreneur. So we're going to reference you into this program. And it was a U.S. Department of Defense incubator program. And in this program, they give you a technology that you then commercialize in the public and private sector. And this was mine, was being able to leverage AI in a secure environment, and also more accurate AI, putting guardrails on that AI, and being able to, it was before AI was even cool. So we have a provisional patent that we're leveraging, but you mentioned the follies, or like the problems with AI. And everyone's very familiar with some of these really big ones, like the Samsung one, where the employee put proprietary code into GPT to have it train and rewrite the code. But the problem with that is they put proprietary code into ChatGPT.
So to slow it down a little bit for our audience and me, the comm guy, what does that mean, putting proprietary code in software?
Okay, so like company secrets.
Okay.
Company secrets they don't want to share with the world. You put that into ChatGPT, and the model trains off that data that comes in. That means if someone else wants to ask for similar code, it would show up for them as an answer, right? Or it goes into ChatGPT. Like then OpenAI has your like trade secrets. If they ever get hacked, then there goes your data. So it's a huge problem. And they also can't always get it back, because once it trains on it, it's there. Like it's hard to extract that information out of the model. And so, and there's also your chat history. So all of that is saved as well. And so these are things that sometimes corporations did not think about, but then they started thinking about it when these blunders happened. And sadly, it made a lot of Fortune 500 companies hesitant to adopt AI at that point.
Interesting. And so, okay, so this was a big mistake. Any others top of mind in terms of the follies? Okay, let me ask this question. Let me bring it down to everyday startups. Everybody nowadays who's bringing a startup through Bay Angels, which is one of the angel networks that I help run, one of the longest angel networks in Silicon Valley, everything's AI.
Yeah.
From that level, I mean, Samsung, they've been around. They should have known better, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things. But what are some potential pitfalls that a young founder, first-time founder, could come across that they need to be looking out for?
Right. So a lot of times when you're like building as a wrapper on top of ChatGPT, you could be putting very proprietary data into that model without recognizing it, without knowing.
And you lose it.
And
right?
It's when I say lose it, you don't like lose it. It's more like the model will absorb that data and train off it. So if someone asks a question, then someone's proprietary information could then show up in their answer, which is a huge regulation issue.
It's like whispering a secret in front of your entire guests, all of your guests at a party, basically.
Exactly.
It's answering AJ's question of what are you afraid of and getting out. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a huge problem. Huge problem. But startups can mitigate this by putting their AI in secure environments. And once they do that, once they're SOC 2 compliant, once they are able to use individual model, there's a lot of different ways that you can make it secure. So you're not just putting private customer data into a model. Because like we just talked to Flagstar Bank the other day, and they were saying that they don't use AI tools internally. And it's like, that's so sad. Why not? Like that this could 10x all of your teams. And it's because of the security. It's the security issues, right? They're very concerned about leaking information or information going that's not supposed to. And it is, of course, a regulatory compliant issue as well.
So, and so DAX comes in, are they that kind of gatekeeper that will help keep things from
exactly
going off the
exactly. So our technology can put it into a secure environment. It's called confidential computing, where even the cloud provider cannot see what is inside that environment infrastructure, that enclave, right? And then we can put models within that infrastructure, and none of the data leaves. None of it is leaked. And there's secret keys that make it so you can verify none of the data has been altered within that environment.
It's a sandbox.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
Little playground.
that is a little playground. Okay, before we take a break, I want to make sure, AJ, you okay? You stepped out and we're...
Well, that's the worst.
I think she stepped out to see if there might be an ambulance outside. Okay, we're going to take a little break, yeah?
Yes, let's take a break.
Do you want to say that we didn't just take a break?
I'll just, well, we just didn't take a break.
Okay,
Go ahead.
yeah,
All right,
you
we're
ready?
back. Yeah.
And
Okay. All right. Thanks, Brian. And we're back again. We didn't just take a break. We didn't.
no, that wasn't a break.
That was
These
not
aren't the
a
droids you're looking for.
All right. So, Erika, please tell us a little bit more. I mean, Dax is doing amazing things. You're doing amazing things. Talk a little bit so we can bring this full circle about the women empowerment, engagement, and initiatives that you have.
Yeah, I'd love to. So we're partnering with different organizations because I strongly believe that engaging the community is how we can help change those numbers of the 2% of all women getting funded, right? Is getting more female VCs involved, getting more female GPs involved, and getting more women on stage presenting. So we're collaborating with Multiverse, and we're doing 2 pitch competitions. There's going to be one for early stage founders, and we're going to bring in investors who are early stage investors. So we're just tailoring this environment so it's a perfect funding opportunity to have these high-powered early stage female founders matched then with female early stage investors. And then for the other one, it's going to be very fancy. It's a Series A pitch event, Series A or above. And we're not only bringing in female investors that are Series A female investors, but we're also bringing in corporations that would want to partner with these women, that could also fund them, but want to potentially be their customers, want to help them with their go-to-market, create collaborations that can be very valuable. And that, I think, is really substantial, right? If you can get women in the right networks, that is what is going to drive fundamental change. And then we're also doing a collaboration with Women Founders Bay and Women in AI and Girls in Tech, all of these different groups. We're going to have a gala where it's just going to be a party. Like sometimes you just need to have fun and have a DJ and dance, and that can be a more casual way of networking instead of like this like hardcore like let's exchange numbers right now.
Sure.
Here's my card.
Here's my card.
I love it. And so what's next for you and Dax? You got this community building. You are building up this this company. What can we look for Erika Barr doing in the next 6 to 18 months? Yeah.
So we're doing these events, and then we're also going to be launching one of our products with our legal client. We're going to be onboarding 250 of their clients in July. So we're just like crazy building for that right now. But it's going great. We've already started the alpha testing, and then we're going to have the beta testers come on, and then we're going to just be refining from there. So it's very exciting.
Amazing. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Definitely love having you. How can people get connected with you?
Yeah. So the best way to reach me is Erika@dax.ai.
Nice. All right. With that being said, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's switch everybody up.
Good.
Where do you want me?
Just stay here.
Stay here.
Yeah. You're going to sit right there, right, Erika? Okay, perfect. How much is...
I don't get to be part of Peanut Gallery?
No, you front row peanut gallery.
Oh, man.
We got to get it. How much is another one of these setups? Because it'd be great to have another one right there.
Let's talk about it
At our meeting.
at our
In our
At our
meeting.
summit. At our summit.
meeting.
Yeah.
In your 4-minute meeting, because you have to do 56 minutes.
All right. Ling Law will be joining us now.
I'm back.
Are you ready?
Man, I hope I don't get attacked by the little dwarves in my...
Let it rip on the microphone. Let's see what happens. Let's go with it.
I was like, oh my God.
What's happening?
Oh my God, now my eyes
Yeah, I
are
don't know if
tearing
this is
up. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Awesome.
You got this.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hate... I'm just thinking out loud.
What do you hate?
I hate... I want like 6 microphones in here.
Yeah, we can do that.
I want like a round table of chaos happening. That's what we'll call it. It will no longer be called Silicon Valley Impact. It'll
Silicon
be
Valley
called
Chaos.
it'll be called Round Table of Chaos. Yeah.
I love that.
You don't, yeah, we'll talk about that. I mean, that's at a production meeting. But honestly, you have such amazing guests who have so much insight and experience that you don't have room for a lot of chaos, Brian. I mean, listening to these people speak is just incredibly interesting, and you can't just insert chaos into it because it's vital and important that people be able to hear what they're saying.
That's an endearing term, though, chaos, meaning like the energy that facilitates new ideas.
But again, I mean, I'm listening to AJ speak, and you're on the edge of your seat listening to what she has to say, and so I think that's really critical that voice be super clear.
Randomly, though, random fact, like my previous title was Chaos Pilot.
It was.
Yeah, probably because you're doing a lot of things.
I remember you saying that. Yeah. All right.
nuts.
Let's go hit the record button. Just go ahead. No need. We're live?
You are.
We are live. Okay. We're back
You're
on.
ready to go.
Okay. The mic is... Lisa, you still there? I see...
I am. I'm still recovering from Chaos Pilot. Is that an HR role? Because that would make sense.
I love it. Okay. All right. So hot on the mic right now is Ling Law. Ling, say hi to my millions and millions of fans. And when I say millions and millions of fans, I mean my mom. So go ahead and say hi.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ling. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing here in Los Gatos. You're a small business owner. You have, I keep calling it home, but there's more to that.
Well, it is home, and it's Home by Ling Interiors. A lot of people call it a different name, Home by Ling or Ling Interiors Home, like, but it's Home by Ling Interiors. And I had this little humble shop about almost 3 years ago. I mean, we'll be celebrating our 3rd year anniversary
I can't believe
in
it's
November, so it's
30
still
years.
5 months away, but still it's coming up like crazy. I just can't believe we already...
And it's okay.
there.
Just to say that I love the creepy story though that you tell about me. Like, so I came in there. I can't believe it's been 2.5 years. I came in your shop. I think during
Right.
the grand opening.
It was the first few months. I remember because I was there in the beginning of the starting this shop, and
Tell it like you told earlier because it had me laughing. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was there by myself one day, and then I said like I was walking around, and this man came in, and then he's just looking around, and I was like, "Hi, well, welcome in, and let me know if you need help with anything." And then he was just like, "Oh yeah," and then he was like, "How is this new?" And then he was like, how long have you been here? And then I was like, "Yeah, we're new." And we just opened like not too long ago. And he was just like, oh, it's a really nice little shop. I just lived down the street. And then I was like, oh, okay, cool. Welcome in. And then he was like, oh, I have an Instagram account and I would love to put.
So for those of you who are following along, that he is me.
You have her Instagram account.
Yeah.
He has an Instagram. He's like, oh, I started this account and I would love to take pictures and share with the followers. And I was like,
not creeping yet at all, right?
No. And he was like, do you mind if I take pictures and videos around your shop? I was like, sure. Can I say no?
Well,
No.
Ask the $1 million question. It's like, what were you thinking? Like, he's FBI. Like, what are your thoughts?
No, but it just at first, I mean, as women, you be feeling a little guarded. You're like, what is this man coming in here for? And then he's so nice.
Smelling
like he
candles,
wants he wants like promote my business for me out of the blue. And he was like, I just live down the street. And then that's like, oh, okay.
Are you stalking me?
I know, seriously.
Oh, you're nearby, and this is going to happen more often. Yeah.
I know, but that was the only time I saw Brian ever.
Oh.
And I haven't seen
now.
him since.
Wait, how long
This
ago
is
was
the
that?
second time
When Brian's not in the studio, all he does is just creep around Los Gatos, talking to strangers.
So many businesses to creep on.
Nobody here in
No.
Los Gatos is safe.
No, but that was very, very nice of you offering up, besides the creepiness at the very beginning. But I was like, I'm just going to trust that this guy is genuine.
It was fun.
So I got to say, surviving your first 3 years is admirable in a small business, right? Like a brick and mortar business.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So
There-
what I want to know is, what have you done in your business to actually to survive those 3 years and thrive in what is a difficult market?
So I started, so it's been almost 2.5 years, and I started, at the very tail end of COVID, and people are still, I started the shop when everyone's still wearing masks. And, we have that little sign, wear your mask when you come in the shop. It was totally a really eerie period to even start a business, right? Like people are like, are you crazy? Like you're starting a business during like COVID time. Mm-hmm. And that's like, I don't know. I just happened to see this space one day. And then I was like, it's calling my name. And I always wanted to open a shop.
It was a fit for you.
And-
So let's go back, because there's a story that runs up to this, because you just didn't see the shop and say, oh, I'm going to have a great home decor shop. You are in interior design. You grew up in the Bay Area up until, or starting at 18.
Yeah.
Talk about the genesis story, because I think that's really what's important to people, how those who are doing it well position themselves. You heard AJ talk about it.
Yes.
The positioning starts early. And so you did that young. Talk about how it all began.
Yes. So I actually was born in South America, and then I moved to Taiwan when I was 3, and I'm Taiwanese American. I grew up with my grandparents. So when I heard AJ's story, I was like, oh, maybe I want to cry, because that's like so. Yeah, I grew up with my grandparents, and they're amazing. They're still alive today. On the very beginning of my age, all my family member has their own business, and that's how kind of you start. How you make money, to survive when you're in Asia, in Taiwan. It's pretty typical. Like everyone has their own family business. Mm-hmm. So I grew up helping my grandma with her retail shop. Oh. And since I was very early stage, like when I started living with her since I was 5. And so in grade school, I would be helping every day after school. That's what I do. Like I come home and help with like the store. I even like start selling items when I was like first grade. It was so weird. Like, it's just, now I think of it. So it's always in me. I feel like the entrepreneurial, like me, it's always there. I always wanted to have my own business, but I just don't know what it was yet.
And so growing up until 18, and you're resonating with this, right, AJ? What is the big resignation? Am I saying that right? I'm just learning English myself. What is the big similarity in that raised by grandparents, being around the young entrepreneurship? What are some of the early, I guess, experiences that you resonate?
That's like the immigrant hustle.
That's so common. Brian, how many people have we seen in here?
Almost every single one of them, it seems like. I mean, the vast majority for sure.
Marianne, I mean, Erika, you know Marianne. She's got an amazing story. What is it about that experience?
Yeah, I mean, like you don't have a playbook of how it goes.
Right.
You just kind of
Right.
I don't know. It's just I think it's just in us.
Yeah.
I also think there's a slight disadvantage to being born and raised in this country, Brian, because everything is organized, everything comes easy, you don't have the adversity, and I think it can make you a little bit lazy. And when you have the opportunity to come to the land of opportunity, in a way, families and individuals fight like hell to take full advantage of it.
The pre-organization, that resonated with me. Did you experience, I mean, I think as a founder or even someone who is immigrated, you've still got to put the pieces together, whether it be the language,
the
culture. Is that, I mean, can you resonate with that?
Yeah, I feel like we have a lot of similarity when I was listening to her, her upbringing and all that. I feel like when I come here, language is definitely a big piece. So I feel like everything you kind of have to fight for it if you want it. There's no one there for you. I feel like that was a really big piece. If you want this, you got to go get it.
There's a hunger.
Yeah. Well, because that's always my dream, and it's always marinating in my head. I mean, I didn't start it as an interior designer. I went to school for architecture, and I had an architecture degree, and then I actually worked for 3 years for an architecture firm, and then I realized that that's not what I really wanted.
Was it the market, or was it the working for somebody?
It's that too. The working, because the entrepreneur is always in me, and I just feel like I don't want to listen to other people. I want to do what I want to do.
Yeah, there it is.
So I think that was like the drive. Every day you're sitting in front of your desk, and then you just like kind of take what people give you, and I don't really have a voice to say. Like, I feel like that's kind of like what kind of drives me. Like, I want to be able to do something I want.
But I feel like those are the two sticks of the fire. Meaning, if you rub this hunger together with taking what people give me, like they don't seem to go together. Like, you have that drive to eat what you kill in the world, right? And you grew up with that with your grandmother. It's like they're hustling, and now it's like you're in this box, and they're just giving me crumbs. I don't see how those coexist.
Yes.
And that seems to be where the fire comes from.
Yeah. So I think coming here in the stage, it's definitely like a great opportunity, right, to be able to do what you want and then just go and do it. But then the thing is, like, I feel like I have that mentality of like, I've always been on my own. Like, I always have to deal with stuff on my own. Like, because my grandparents they only know so much.
Do you have any siblings?
I have half siblings, but growing up, it's always, my parents were not around. And then, so I've always have to do stuff on my own, figure out stuff on my own. Like, this is what you want, you have to go get it. This is how I was growing up. And I felt like that just kind of in me the whole time. Like, you want to have a retail store? Go do it. Like, don't let anybody stop you. Like, and that's why, like, that's how it came about, like, to start with this whole retail business.
So you landed at Berkeley.
Yes.
And what was that?
I don't know. I heard it too, but I have no idea what it was.
Okay, I just thought I'd call it out. Okay,
UFO incoming.
Yeah, incoming.
I know,
like
it
a
does
little
sound like
alien
that.
Yeah, and everyone listening was like, we didn't hear anything.
Alien wants to start a retail store.
Do the voice.
What voice?
That's the voice. It's the
Sorry.
fourth guest coming in.
No.
Actually, I have something to say about that. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so you landed. You worked hard. You landed at Berkeley, great school, by the way.
Yes.
So from an academic perspective, you did well.
Yep.
Graduated. Architecture wasn't the thing. when did it click for interior design? Like, I'm going to go try this.
Yeah. So I just want to give like a little story. So after I got laid off from architectural firm because it was back in 2010. There was a housing crash and nobody was building homes. And then so they had to cut people. And I was one of the first to let go because I was like the youngest one. And so I got let go. And then after that, I met my husband and we got married after 3 years later. And I was pregnant with twins. So I have twin boys. And because that pregnancy was really hard for us. It was high risk. And so I kind of like stopped working for a little while and then just kind of like take care of the babies and my body. And then then my creativity's hasn't stopped. Like I've always constantly wanted to find something to do. So I start my Etsy shop. I started selling baby shower cards, birthday cards. Like I design cards because I'm always creative. I wanted to do something creative. So I did that for a while and sell cards over online. And I did really well, actually. I was pretty happy with that, how it turned out. And afterwards, and I was just like, you know what? This is not what I want. I just try. It's always all trial and error. And I just go like, hey, what if I reached out to a realtor back then, I know. And then I asked her, hey, by any chance, do you need anyone help with staging? So that's kind of like.
So you just leaped in, like you saw an opportunity, like I'm just gonna throw myself into this opportunity. And
yep. I just see what's in my head and I just go do it. Nothing is gonna stop me, and it just.
I love it. And you're lighting up. Okay, so for those of you who don't see this right now, as you're describing that pivot point, you're lighting up because what's coming together for you as this moment of going for it?
What I'm sorry.
No, as you're talking about jumping into this opportunity where you may not be qualified for it. But
exactly. I just asked for it. I just like, hey, by any chance, do you need any help? Like, I would love to come in and help you with the staging. And then they were like, oh, sure, like come try it. And then so I tried it for a while and I didn't like it. Because I was like, if I want to move something into the house, it's got to be staying there. I don't want to move it out because staging is constantly moving back out and moving in, moving back out. It's like moving all the time. And I was just like, no, I just want to help my clients and like with their home and make it all pretty and then just stay there. And
I want to point something out because Erika, I'm going to look to you. So Erika's still here. So even though you don't have a mic, I still want your opinion on this. And AJ, so I was at an event 3 months ago, and I think it was one of Dosh's events, and James Gee was there, Startup Grind, and a question was asked. It was a female founders event. Do you remember the one? This is a Workwise event in San Francisco, and they asked. Why it came up like this? I don't know how it was asked, but why aren't women asking more? Because men will be underqualified for something and still go for it, whereas women will, wait till they check all the boxes. And I mean, I'm just relaying what I was hearing, and it blew my mind.
It's true.
You, however, buck that.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think this was significant wasn't just the question in itself that was being asked, but it was the bobbing of the heads in the room that resonated with that. But you bucked that. And so Erika, I start with you. Is this a thing where traditionally
Erika doesn't have a mic, so we're not going to be able to hear her answer.
Well, how are we going to do this?
I hear where you're going with this. We're also running out of time.
Okay. All right. I'm opening up a whole other.
I want to let you run. I mean, seriously, like fly high, Freebird, but you're actually going to run out of time here.
All right.
It's 100% no if you don't ask.
It's 100% no. But okay, I'll let you finish what you were saying, but I thought that's amazing.
Yeah, so I've always asked my way around.
Freebird. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm still a free bird.
Fly high, Freebird!
All right, let's reel it in.
Let's reel it in and wrap it up.
Reel it in and wrap it up. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead and finish that. So you asked, you jumped in.
Yeah.
What happened?
So I got my opportunity. So you just need to ask. And then the reason why I got into interior design was because there was a really good friend of mine Back then she was doing interior design. She still lives in town. And so I asked her, hey, do you need help with anything with interior design? Because I could do like all this software, like the programs that, you know, you might need help with. And then so she's like, yeah, sure, let's try it. And things just kind of happen that way. It's just kind of one thing leads to another. And then when you just kind of ask for create opportunity for yourself, I feel like that has always been that kind of me, how to.
So fight, again, if I could do the same thing I do with AJ.
Yeah.
Fight for it, ask for it, go for it.
Ask for it. Yeah. If you don't ask, you never get it. Just,
I love that.
and then-
So
yeah.
what's your store's address? Tell the people who are listening.
It's 78 West Main Street. It's right next to the amazing icing on the cake.
I think in Los Gatos, California.
Yep.
How can people take a look on your website? You have a website?
Yes, it's homebylinginteriors.com, and you can follow us on Instagram at Home by Ling Interiors.
All right, Ling, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. I want to
So
pivot
good.
back to AJ. AJ, thank you
Thank you.
for joining us. What words of wisdom do you have for us before we leave today in terms of building your brand in 30 seconds?
Know who you are.
Know who you are. And I love that. Go back and listen to the 4, you call them the 4.
Immutable laws of the spirit.
I
Talk about it all the time.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Well,
Love that, AJ. I love that coaching question too. Who are you becoming? Something founders
absolutely.
need to people just need to repeatedly ask themselves. Love it.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
All right, with that, Brian, are we out of time? There's my answer.
That's your
Again, I
question.
want to have all these ladies back. Thank you for joining us today. Again, if you want to outro.
Thank you very much for joining us here on Silicon Valley Impact. We are KPCR Radio 92.9 FM in Los Gatos and beyond.
My mic went dead on that one. Okay, all right. Thank you, everybody. See you next week. I gotta delete.
So good.